Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. It is Betting Weekly WTA. It is the start of the first major of 2026. The Australian Open gets underway in Melbourne. We've already given you our picks for the tournament winner, and now we're going to break down the best bets on the women's draw in round number one. I'm your host, Nigel Seeley, and joining me over in Egypt is our WTA handicapper, Tim Dennis. Tim, weather good? Nice, refreshing morning. How's things?
Yeah, nice morning. I was just saying to John before we came on air, it's had to get up a couple of hours earlier this morning because obviously the time difference over here, but makes it a little bit easier when you open the windows and it's blue sky and 20 degrees. So yeah, nice and pleasant and a bit of a nice change from England, as I'm sure you're probably aware of as we speak.
I thought you would be up all night putting research in for the WTA show. You have been doing that as well, though, surely.
Yeah, I was, Nigel. I was burning the midnight oil last night, so doing plenty of work. We've got a few matches to in the first round to get stuck into, so hopefully a few winners amongst them.
Yeah, we've had some good winners on the show. We're plus 2.4 units up. And remember, they are only match bets. Our official picks on tournaments do not go into that figure, and they're available on our pre-shows. And they're also available on our Instagram account, exclusive at Because We Win. And if you're on this channel for the last 4 tournaments, we gave the two winners of the tournament last week. And this week we have two massive prize finalists. Mbuku at 14-1 in Adelaide, and at 50-1, Elisabetta Cocciaretta at Hobart. So hopefully tonight we can cash some winning tickets and get both of those as winners. One will do, but two will be absolutely brilliant. But even so, we've cashed on the each way of them both getting to the final as well. So lots to look forward to this evening. Make sure you download the BetRivers app, cheer those on there around about, I think it's 9 o'clock Eastern time, those matches start. So head across there and enjoy them. But this is all about the Australian Open. This is about the first round. And the first thing we do on these shows, if you're new to the show and you've never seen us before, hit that subscribe button. You come across for the Australian Open. Welcome on in. What we do first of all is we go through the conditions, tell you about the court speeds, tell you about the weather forecast, because that's all important in tennis betting. Tim, what have we got for you? What are the court conditions and what are the weather? What's the weather like?
Yeah, starting with the court conditions. Yeah, they've played the same court as they have in the build-up to this Australian Open so far. It's a hard green set court with, again, the Dunlop AO balls, which they've been using in these warm-up events. I think the court speed is probably just a little bit quicker than medium pace. Like we said yesterday in our preview show, suiting the bigger hitters and the big servers. I think the service hold percentage last year was 66.8%. So, I mean, that's certainly a little bit on the quicker side. 65 is probably about medium, so 70 is quick. So sort of just in between the two on the quicker side of medium, I think. The weather is pleasant conditions to start the week. It's going to be in the mid 70s tomorrow. No rain forecast, so there shouldn't be any interruptions. Yeah, and pleasant conditions, not too hot and certainly not too cool either. So perfect for tennis, it looks like.
Now, we are going to start our first match with it's the opening match on court. And the action starts tomorrow evening. So on Saturday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern time. That is when the first matches take to the court in the first major of 2026. And as I said, you can download the BetRivers app and live stream all these matches at Melbourne. And the first match is the first on court. It's the match between Putintseva and Beatriz Haddad Maia. It's quite a close betting event. If you look at the odds, it's quite close. The odds here are minus 127 for Putintseva, plus 102 for Beatriz Haddad Maia. Spread is 1.5. Total here is 21.5. There is a couple of prop markets there, set betting and set spread. If you go across to the BetRivers website now, there's 39 different markets available on this match. In the build-up to the match, they will increase to probably around about 60. So if you are looking for tennis betting, there is no better website across America for sports betting on the tennis than BetRivers, the home of tennis betting for sure. If we look at the head-to-head record, though, it's a little bit different to what those odds suggest. They've met twice before, and Haddad Maia leads 2-0 in the previous meeting. She beat her in Wimbledon in 2023 in 3 sets, and she beat her also in Abu Dhabi in the same year, 2023, in 3 sets. So she does lead 2-0, but those matches were quite close. She lost a set 6-love in one of those matches at Wimbledon. And in the match in Abu Dhabi, there was 2 tiebreakers and a final set tiebreak to get through. There has been a bit of money for Haddad Maia in the build-up to this match, but she hasn't won yet in 2026. Her opponent, on the other hand, is in quite good form. She has had 5 wins and 3 losses, but they're in qualification for Adelaide and not really in the top right of this match here. Haddad Maia, the head-to-head, if you look at the head-to-head, you probably be betting that. What do you think here, Sean? Sean again. Tim, what do you think, Tim?
Here we go. But yeah, I was quite surprised. I was tempted to get with Haddad Maia. I was surprised she was not maybe surprised she's outsider, but surprised she was sort of plus money as well. Like you said, they've had two head-to-head matches, which she's both gone 3 sets and she's won them both. And like you said, surprisingly though, with 3 set matches and one sort of 6-love set in there, it's actually quite surprising that she leads the service points won, return points won totals 108 to 92 in favour of Haddad Maia. So yeah, a little bit surprising she's the outsider. Obviously, I think the conditions in Dubai are probably fairly similar to here. I mean, sort of a reasonably quick-paced hard court in decent weather. Putintseva, like you say, she's already played 8 matches in Australia this year, whereas this has just Haddad Maia's first match. But I mean, a pretty decent showing she had against losing in the 3rd set to Mboko, who we know the kind of form she's been on, and she's obviously into that final this week. So a positive start to Haddad Maia's season. Perhaps what she needed was a good rest. She does have the odd injury here and there, but we does know she likes to play a lot of tennis, and I'd be surprised to know if there's that many players that play as many 3-set matches as Haddad Maia. She's probably the biggest grinder out on the tour. Putintseva, a similar kind of player. She has her moments, but a little bit like Potapova we spoke about before, she can get a little bit sulky as well. So I think the best way I could sort of see we getting with this match was the over 2.5 sets at Bet Rivers was plus 132. I mean, like I said, I was tempted with Haddad Maia on the money line, and I wouldn't put anyone off that. And I can see why she's been shortening up and the money's been coming for her. But I think the safest way to go was for this to sort of replicate the previous 2 matches they've had before, and this to go the distance. So I thought over 2.5 sets at plus 132 was a fair way to go with Bet Rivers, and that was our first official play on the first round.
Yeah, that's a good way of getting with the plus money for the long games. You can go over 21.5 games, which is minus 122, which brings in possibly a straight set to win as well. But obviously this one here, the last 2 times they played, the only 2 times they played, both of them have gone the distance, and we expect that to be the case again. So over 2.5 sets, plus 132 with Bet Rivers is our first official play. Just to let you know, the times that we gave you there, tomorrow 7:30, that is the scheduled time for most of the matches, and obviously we haven't got the official play as in just yet, but we will update it when we get that through. Okay, let's move on to our second match, and this one is scheduled for 2:40 a.m. Eastern time, and that's Danilovic against Venus Williams. Now, Venus Williams has already cashed for us this season on the spreads. We got with her when she played Magdalene, but she hasn't won a match in 2 matches, and she's only won 1 of her last 10 matches, and that goes back to the US Open in September last year. She's up against Danilovic, who I think is a quality player, a player on her day. He's got the ability to test anybody. She beat Peyton Stearns in the Star 16 in Hobart. She beat McCartney Kessler, our tip for the tournament, in the first round. And she got beat by Rusick, who got beat as the semi-finals in the quarterfinals. So she's in good form. It's a tough match for Venus Williams, and that is reflected in the odds with Bet Rivers. If we're looking at these odds here, minus 590 for Danilovic, plus $4 for Venus Williams. Spread is a massive 5.5, and total here is 19.5. Here's your set betting, here's your set spreads as well, and all those can be found on the Bet Rivers app. We've cashed with Venus Williams on the handicap. Are we going again with the veteran at 45 to push this quite close?
Yeah, she's done us a favour already, Venus Williams. She's been our friend on this show so far already this year, and we're going to stick with her for another match here. Like you said, this is their first meeting. Williams has obviously lost both her first round matches that she's played in Australia so far yet this year, but you'd have to think that this has been her main target, even at 45 years old. You'd have to think that obviously the slam has been at sort of where she's really focusing on, even though she's shown some pretty decent shows in those first round matches. We've said before that she's still got a decent level of ability, as she showed when like we said, taking a set off Muchova in the US Open. And I think conditions here are going to suit her a little bit more than when she played Tatiana Maria in, I think, was it Hobart? She played Maria, I think? Yeah, in Hobart. So the conditions should suit her. And I think it's possible that I think she won 67% of her first serve points in the first 2 sets against Tatiana Maria. And then that level just dropped a little bit in the 3rd set. And you can fully understand why at the age of 45, if it goes 3 sets, then she probably is going to start to fade a little bit with fatigue setting in. But that's completely fine. If this does go 3 sets, chances are we're going to cash our bet. And I think the best way I like to get with Venus Williams was the the plus 5.5 games at minus 113 looks a decent way of going. I think we cashed with her previously at plus 4.5. We're obviously getting an extra half a game here, one game here at 5.5. So obviously, if we get fortunate like we did last time, and she chooses to serve first, or Danilovic puts her in to serve first, that'll obviously help, because serving first certainly helps in this game. Obviously, you can be broken once perhaps and lose a set 6-4, so that would stand us in good stead. So yeah, I like Venus Williams here. She's also got the carrot of, if she wins this match, chances are she's going to end up facing Coco Gauff in the next round, and she'll be well aware of that. And I think that's a carrot that sort of is being dangled for her, that she'll know that that's sort of a glamour tie for her, isn't it? And talk about reminiscing. I think, like you said yesterday, when Coco Gauff burst onto the scene at 15 years old, it was against Venus Williams. So I think that's obviously something she might be looking forward to as well. And I think in similar conditions, like we said, plus 5.5 at minus 113 looks more than fair to me. So yeah, we're going to stick with our friend already this year, Venus Williams, plus 5.5 start for another 1 point play.
Do you know what I like in this match? I like the first set over 9.5 at plus 133. I think first set she's going to make it competitive, and as you said, her levels drop in the second set. And there's no price discrepancy between set 1 and set 2. Danilovic is minus $4, and the sets games totals are the same in set 1 as set 2. And I don't think that's right. I think set 1 has to be in for more. If I was trading this, I'd have set 1 in for a lot more. Well, not a lot more, but I'd have at least 0.75 more totals games than in set number 2, where her levels will drop, especially in heat at 45. So
yeah, I think she might see that. Yeah,
it was a strategy that we did on the ATP Tour show last year on Game Bet Match with Sean, where he basically went with Stanislaus Wawrinka. A lot of matches over set number 1, and then in set 2 he ran out of gas. And I think that's the way to play this one. I think that's an alternative way to do it, plus 133. But our official play is to match Danilovic against Venus Williams, and we've gone for Venus Williams plus 5.5 at minus 133. Okay, let's move on to our next match. This one is involving the number 2 seed, Iga Swiatek. She's up against Yue Yuan. And look at the prices. She's a very, very heavy favourite. She's minus 5,000. Yue Yuan is 1,300. Spread here is bigger, 7.5. And the total here is 16.5. Again, loads of special markets available on the Bet Rivers website. They've only met once before. It was in 2025, last year in Berlin. Swiatek in the second round won 6-love, 6-3. But Swiatek coming into this isn't in the best of form. She's lost 2 matches. Her last 2 matches she lost Gauff and Bencic. She lost to Bencic as well. She struggled against Maia Joint, and she struggled against Eva Lias as well. So this isn't peak Swiatek here, but this would be one of the biggest shocks of Australian Open tennis if she got beat by this match, especially after that very, very convincing win when they met in Berlin.
Yeah, absolutely. If she was to lose this match, it's probably going to be one of the biggest shocks you're going to see on a tennis court from a tennis better point of view. Anyway, for sure. Look at her at sort of minus 5,000 to win the match. She's obviously fully expected to win, as she should be. Like you said, they've met once before, and that was obviously only in Beijing last year with a commanding 6-love, 6-3 victory. And obviously, you spoke about the form of Iga Swiatek, and we were worried a little bit, probably sort of 9 months ago, when she had a few issues on the clay, wasn't she? When I think she got beat by Alexandra Yalo, and she wasn't in the best of form. But I sort of went through her hard court matches last night, and I think in her last 10 tournaments on outdoor hard, in her first match of the tournament, I think she's won the match in under 16.5 games in 9 of those 10 tournaments, which is a pretty amazing stat for, obviously we know the quality she is, but perhaps hard not being her favourite surface. But I think players like this, like Yue Yuan, I think she's ranked 130 in the world. These are the kind of players that Iga Swiatek really feasts on, and she's certain to be locked in and fully focused in Grand Slams, which we normally see her. Like we said, Yuan has come through qualifying, but like we said, down at 130 in the world. I just think this is the kind of player that Swiatek sort of, like we say, devours almost in these first round slam matches. And as she has proved on that in her some of these Masters 1,000 tournaments, and even so WTA 500s on the outdoor hard, looking through those stats I mentioned earlier. When I looked last night, there was a few less markets up, but they've sort of sprung up a little bit now. I think under 16.5 was the first market I looked at minus 103, but I think probably will eke out a slightly bit more value. I think is if you get on WAN under 4.5 total player games, that's plus 100. So that's kind of going to be the same kind of bet, really. I mean, if Swiatek wins 6-4, 6-love, or 6-2, 6-2, that bet's going to cash. Whereas the under 16 is obviously the same bet, but with slightly a bit more value. So the bet I did like was Yuan under 4.5 player games at plus 100. I mean, it might not be a bet for everyone. A little bit worried about Swiatek, but I think I see her as these elite players come to these elite level tournaments and they really lock in and switch on. And I'd have her hopefully doing a similar job as she did in Beijing.
This match is on Sunday. We don't know the order of play yet, but around about 7 p.m. Eastern time is when it will start. So we'll find out exactly what time that will be, probably later on today or tomorrow. And you'll be able to head across to the BetRivers website, download that app, and live stream that match. It won't be long. 35 minutes I'll do. I'll get her off the court and get that job done. Yuan gets under 4.5 total games in the match is our play at plus money. It's a better way than getting on the 16.5 on the total. Next up, Karolina Muchova up against Jaqueline Cristian. Muchova, a player that we all know is on her day, is one of the best women's tennis players in the world, but she's had so many troubles with injuries. If she's on form, she can go deep, and she's fit, she can go very, very deep. But obviously, always comes with a question mark about her fitness. She's minus 435 to beat an opponent that she's played 3 times and won 3 times and won them all in straight sets. Cristian is plus 320, spread is 4.5 here, total is 20.5. If you want to know about the head-to-head, the last time they made was in 2024 in Ningbo, 6-2, 6-1. Muchova won that. In Beijing, in 2024, 6-1, 6-3. And then in Vermont in an ITF event in 2018, 6-4, 6-1. So all the matches have gone under 20.5. And all the matches, Muchova has covered that 4.5 spread. She looks good. She got to the semi-finals in Brisbane, got beat by Sabalenka. And Cristian had a good year last year. I must admit, she did play well, but this is an opponent she doesn't like to face.
Yeah, I think that's the key. The opponent here for Cristian is Muchova. And like we say, I think those 2 most recent matches, the ones we can probably look at, she's obviously won all 6 sets they played. Obviously, the 4 sets in the most recent matches. And on outdoor hard, I think in those 2 matches, she leads the service points, 1 and return points totals, 125 to 75, winning 81% of her first serve points. And Cristian winning just 35.5% of her second serve points. So this seems to be a matchup that Cristian really struggles with, and you can see why. I mean, a fully fit Muchova, which I mean, she looks fit and happy and healthy from what we've seen of her so far. Like she's had good victories against Alexandrova. She's beat Jelena and only lost to eventual Brisbane champion Aryna Sabalenka. So I think she looks in good health, looks in good form. And Cristian, I think she's a player to me. She likes the person at the other end of the court. She's not afraid of power, but I think Muchova obviously has power, but she's well able to mix it up with drop shots, blinging players into the net, taking the speed off the ball, playing slices. And I think that's what's hurt Cristian in this matchup. And I think that's why it's been so one-sided so far. Cristian, like you said, she started reasonably well as well. She also has a win under Alexandrova to her belt. But the key thing here, I think, is the matchup that's going to struggle Cristian, like we said, mixing it up and just causing Cristian a few too many problems. So I'd expect this to go the same way as the matches have gone before. And the bet I landed on was Jaqueline Cristian total player games was under 8.5. I liked it, minus 114 with BetRivers. I looked at the totals and perhaps that could be a good way to go. But I thought the best way of getting against Cristian, for example, is under 8.5 total player games.
Yep, these are all the different markets available on the BetRivers app. I did say it's the best offering for tennis stateside, and I stand by that. And there's loads of different markets available there. There's only those markets on the graphic, but literally we'll have 60 different markets available on each of these matches when the action starts on Sunday. Again, we do not know the order of play yet, but the action starts at 7 p.m. So you're going to have plenty of time to think out your bets, maybe do some parlays, and head across to the BetRivers app. Next match, Rebecca Sramkova up against Jelena Ostapenko. And Ostapenko is in a real rut at the moment. She's pulled out of 2 of her last 3 matches injured. Her performances have been absolutely awful. She's in a bit of trouble, the former French Open champion. Not only that at the moment, but at a stage of her career where things could go very, very wrong very, very quickly. She's minus 105, holding on to favouritism against Sramkova. I don't know how she can be favourite, really, on the evidence of what I've seen so far. Sramkova is minus 120, total 21.5. But to put this into some kind of perspective, she played Valentova in the first round of Adelaide, lost the first set 7-6, was 3-2 down in set 2, retired. She played Kirstia. She lost 6-2, 7-6 in a match where she should have won that pretty easy. She then played Kostia again in Wuhan last year. She lost the first set 6-love and it was 2-1 down, retired. She hasn't won a tennis match since the US Open first round against Wang, and she's in terrible, terrible form. Sramkova on the other side got beat by Preston, which was a shock defeat, but Preston almost got to the final in Hobart as well. And she's got an opportunity here to avenge a 3-1 head-to-head deficit. Ostapenko does lead 3-1 in the head-to-head. She's won 3 matches already this year out of her 5, and this looks like a perfect time to face Jelena Ostapenko.
Yeah, I think you're going to be a brave man getting involved too heavily on the money line with Ostapenko at the moment. Obviously, I'm not sure if you saw that most recent match that she retired in, Nigel, but I think she led 5-0 in that match. And she also led 5-2, 40-15 on serve with 2 set points to come before losing the set and then retiring early in the second set. Whether that was sort of throwing the toys out the pram and thinking about coming here, only she'll know. But it looked that way to me. She leads the head-to-head 3-1. The 2 most recent meetings on clay and Rome, winning in 3 sets. And the fact that the last 3 matches have gone the distance kind of leads me to thinking that's probably the only way you can kind of look at this game. I think in their 2 most recent meetings, the service points won, return points won totals a dead level at 100 each. So that shows you just how tight these 2 could be. She's in awful form, winning only one of her last 9 tour level matches, Ostapenko, and that dates back to the 1st of August in Montreal. So yes, a lot to be taken on trust with Ostapenko, I think. And Sramkova, she's won 3 of her 5 matches this year in Australia. Losing in the 3rd round in Brisbane and the 2nd round in Hobart. Played some pretty decent tennis. I think Sramkova, neither of them have a great record here. Sramkova lost in the 1st round in Brisbane and Hobart, and then the 2nd round here last year. And it's a difficult match to be confident about, so it's only going to be a lean. But again, I think over 2.5 sets at plus 132 look the way to go. Obviously, if Ostapenko, if there is a real fitness worry, and she doesn't see out the match, that may well end up getting voided. But I thought that was the best way of going with this match, with question marks certainly surrounding Ostapenko, and with their previous head-to-head matches being so tight, I could see this going the distance.
I think Sramkova's a bet on the money line. I know it's minus 120, but I think they might drift a little bit. I think people might see Ostapenko in the name. The public support might go for it, but I think if we can get minus 110 Sramkova, I'd be all over that. I think Ostapenko's
You'd have to be brave to be with Ostapenko.
I wouldn't be betting Ostapenko now. So that's our final official play. It's not our final.
Just a lean
match.
That one. Sorry,
no, lean. Just a
lean.
Yeah. It's our final sort of lean. Then we're going to move on to our final match. And I put this one in because Tereza Valentova was the player that I thought would have the breakthrough year in 2026. I've been really impressed by the Czech player. End of last season, I thought she was going to be a real good star. She's only 18 years of age. She's moving in the right direction. And she's up against Maia Joy, an Australian girl, obviously playing at her home slam. Very, very important for her. But I can't believe the market, how much they're in love with Valentova. I mean, some of the prices that she started this season have been wild. And it's a wild price here. I mean, she's minus 270, 240, sorry, to 230, sorry, to beat Maia Joy, plus 180 Maia Joy, 3.5 the spread, 21.5 the total. Maia Joy is seeded. She's 32 in the world. She's had a decent start to the year. Valentova has had a fair start to the year as well, but she's ranked 60 in the world. And I looked at some of them when she played Ostapenko. I know Ostapenko's not in great form, but she was like minus 350 to beat Ostapenko, Valentova. I think that sometimes the market gets carried away about a player when you read up people like myself or other tennis guys who are experts, much more knowledgeable than myself, put down a guy. She's a girl, and say that she's a potential breakthrough player this year, and the market just goes crazy. This looks like a mad price for Valentova. She could win it fairly comfortably, but minus 230 against a Seeley player at a home slam. We know how great support the Aussies get in the Australian Open, and Valentova's only 18. I think 3.5 spread. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I think they've, like you said, we've spoken about in a few matches before. Perhaps the odds makers have just gone a little bit over the top here, making Valentova such a short price. Obviously, Joint being a home player, going to have crowd support, has started the season reasonably well. I think she did us a favour earlier in the week when she beat Kenin in straight sets. Obviously lost to Mira Andreeva there yesterday, but we know the kind of level Andreeva is. And to see her at plus 180 here against a player, like you said, only 18 years old, who's 28 places in the rankings below her on her home court, I think is just a little bit of an overreaction, isn't it? So I think if you are looking for a value bet on the day, perhaps Maia joint at plus 180 could be it for you. And I know Valentova was one of your sort of women to follow for the year, Nigel, but I think this is just a big overreaction, isn't it?
There's a price and a price, and that price is wrong. And I think 3.5 on the spread is wrong. As well as that, there's a whole host of other really good games. So I'm just going to read you through a few highlight matches. Karolina Pliskova, Sloane Stephens, two of the veterans battling it out. That's a really good looking match. We've got Krejcikova against Diana Schneider. What a match that is as well. Krejcikova, former Wimbledon champion, is plus 163 there on the money. Donna Vekic up against Mira Andreeva, minus 715. Mira Andreeva. Katie Bolter, Belinda Bencic, Anna Kanaskaya, Sunny Cartel. Some really, really good matches here. The one I quite liked, and some of the matches I quite like. I might want to have a fade of Mbuku. I thought that might be a little bit because she plays with so much energy, and she's obviously into the final tonight. And we saw in the US Open, she had a really good build up to the US Open, played really well, won obviously the tournament, the home tournament in Canada, went into the US Open and was really disappointed and got beat in round one. And she's got a tough start. She's up against Emerson Jones, the Aussie, and I think that might be a difficult opener for her. I like Jones on the spread. Any other ones you like on do you think there could be a potential one? Didn't make official plays, but anyone else you quite like the look of?
Yeah, well, like I said, there's quite a few first round matches I was interested in the Mira Andreeva Donna Vekic one, but I went through it last night and then looked at the odds, and I just thought the odds were about right, and I found it tough to really find an angle in that. I've always been a fan of Vekic, but she has sort of fallen off a little bit of a cliff this year or last year, and she hasn't really found her way back. I'm hoping she will, and I expect her to, but I think I probably want to see a bit more from her first. Obviously, Andreeva has had a long week. She's obviously into the final there, and she's going to play in Boko. So, I mean, if they go sort of a slugfest over 3 sets, that's going to drain a little bit more energy out of both those players. So it'd be interesting to keep an eye on them. One thing I would just say about that in Boko, you're right, she did lose in the first round. I think she lost to Krejcikova at the US Open, but I think she might have been ailed with a little bit of a wrist injury there. That wasn't actually sort of public knowledge at the time, and I think it came to light actually during the match. So maybe a slight excuse, but you're right in what you say about it. It's tough for these players going a full week into a final. They will get the benefit of the latest start possible. I think they'll be the last of the women's draw to play on that side for certain, but not ideal if you've gone all the way. But I mean, it didn't stop Madison Keys last year, did it? So I mean, who's to say it's going to stop these? They're only teenagers, so they should be full of energy, shouldn't they, Nigel?
They should be. They should be full of energy, and you're going to need to be full of energy over the next couple of weeks when we're previewing our content here. Steps up a gear at the Australian Open. Myself and Tim will be back later on in the week, looking at some second round matches, and we'll have more content here. So make sure you subscribe if you like tennis betting. You want winners. This is the place to be. A great start to the year, both here on the WTA Tour and also on the ATP show as well. If you haven't seen the Outright Show Tournament Winners Show, it is available on the YouTube channel, the Betting Weekly Studios, and myself and Sean will also have a preview of the men's draw as well, which is available here, and we will be dropping a show as well on the first round bets as well, which will probably be available as well by the time this goes live. So all the action is covered for you here on the Betting Weekly Studios. Tim, we're going to do a bit of scuba diving today. You're going to go out, having a couple of nice cold beers and then go a little bit scuba diving or something?
Yeah, I think if we're going to go scuba diving, we'll leave the beers for after probably. But I think the scuba diving is later in the week, so we might just head down to the beach today and enjoy the sunshine. But yeah, looking forward to spending a bit of time in the sun. It's nice. Before I go, can you just give us a quick recap of your official plays, please? Yeah, sure. So over the 6 matches we've covered there, I think the official plays are, we're going to start with in the Karolina Muchova versus Jaqueline Cristian match, we're going to get with Jaqueline Cristian under 8.5 player games at minus 114, a 1-point win. Beatriz Haddad Maia versus Yulia Putintseva over 2.5 sets at plus 132. Again, another 1 point. I think Olga Danilovic versus Venus Williams. We're going to stick with Venus Williams. She gets a 5.5 start at minus 113 with Bet Rivers. And our final official play will be in the Iga Swiatek versus Yue Yuan match. Yue Yuan under 4.5 player games at plus 100.
That's it. Everything's covered for you on the Bet Rivers app. Give us a big cheer tonight. We want Cocciaretta and Mbuku to end what's been another brilliant week on the channel. Hopefully you're cashing tickets. Hopefully you'll stay with us throughout the tournament. And hopefully we can bring you more winners across the next fortnight. And the first major of 2026, the Australian Open, gets underway tomorrow evening. Take care. Speak to you all soon.